Okay guys, I wanted to put this video together real quick because I wanted to spell out my theory about WandaVision so I don't have to keep tweeting it over and over again. I can have, everything I'm saying all in one place. So basically, I believe that Ultron is behind this because of several things. Number one, the end credit sequence, not a scene after the end credits, but the actual end credits because, remember there's always three. So the last two are regular text. And so I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the one where the show fades out. And then, producer Jack Shaffrey comes up and all the stars, all that. Well, every time that plays, it's a different configuration. But you see Wanda, you see Vision. And this last one, Vision kind of woke up, his eyes got opened. And you see things, they always end up coalescing into twin rings. And so that sequence about the coalescing, it always looks very digital. It always looks like Ultron used to look when he was still just a program before he poured himself into those bodies. And so, if you know anything about Ultron from the comics, he always comes back. You can't destroy Ultron because you can never destroy his consciousness. His consciousness, even if it doesn't have a body to occupy, always exists somewhere in some type of circuitry or somehow in the ether, but his consciousness is never destroyed. So Ultron always comes back in a better body. That's kind of his trope. That's kind of his theme. That's kind of his thing. So what he's been doing is he gave Wanda a Superman for the man who has everything scenario, or a Batman, the animated series, Perchance to Dream. So in other words, he put Wanda in a dream world where she was getting everything that she wanted, which is her husband back, a suburban life, her brother back, and twin sons. And if you don't know anything about her sons from the comics, her sons are Speed and Wiccan, and they obviously have the same powers as Wanda and Pietro. The reason he's doing that is so Wanda won't be paying attention to the fact that somehow Ultron is using her power, maybe her TK, maybe her dream power, maybe a combination of all, because this episode Wanda said she didn't know how it all happened. Also, if you notice in the scene where Pietro and Wanda are trick-or-treating, what's on the movie marquee behind them? The Incredibles and The Parent Trap. The Incredibles have always been the longest nod to the real Fantastic Four. The best Fantastic Four movie we ever got was from them. So it might be introducing Reed Richards and his family. But also, what is The Parent Trap? Parent Trap's about twins. About twins trying to get their parents back together. Okay? So Wanda and Pietro trying to get Ultron back together. Big clue right there. If she doesn't know how it all happened, but somehow she's controlling it, that's because I believe Ultron has given her that power boost. And somehow he's using circuitry and technology. That's what the end credits mean. To give Wanda that power boost. I'm not sure how that works together, that magic and that science. But the point is to keep Wanda happy enough so she won't really pay attention to what's really going on. And somehow Ultron is pulling himself from the netherworld, from being disembodied, back into the physical world. And I think he's trying to accomplish his original plan. If you remember Ultron's original plan, that's why he created Vision's body. And remember this episode, what Darcy said last episode, but they reviewed here in the previously on, that he's the world's only vibranium synthezoid. That's significant because he was created by Ultron and Tony Stark and Bruce Banner and Thor to be, the perfect body. And the other guys weren't cooperating to help him become a House of Ultron, but that was Ultron's goal, to make Vision's body, his next body, his perfect body, a body he could stay in, because you can't really destroy Vision except for, I guess, the way Thanos did it. You pull out the Mind Stone. But other than that, Vision is pretty much indestructible. If you don't know anything about Vision from the comics, he's got density powers as well as flight. So Vision can make himself super hard and super heavy like a diamond, or he can make himself so intangible until he disappears. And he can fly, and he also has the Mind Stone as a laser focus as well. along with his synthesoid brain, which can do, I don't know if it's on the order of Data's brain, but it's obviously faster and has more details and information than a regular human brain. So Ultron created Vision for that purpose in the movies, to inhabit that body, and I think he's trying to carry out his original plan. He's using Wanda's powers to help pull him back into our plane of reality, but he's got to keep her distracted so she won't, because remember, she can read emotions. She couldn't read Ultron, but remember, she could read Vision when he was still forming. So he has to be sure that Wanda's not picking up on anything until he gets all the way out here. And when he does, his plan is to take over Vision's body and then probably go on his next rampage to destroy humanity. So what does this have to do with Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness? How could this possibly lead into that? Well, I believe that once Wanda finds out that all this is an illusion, because she's had a taste of it, she's going to want it back. And because she wants it back, she's going to seek out Doctor Strange and ask him to either go into a deeper level of magic and make it all be real. Like if at the end of all this, Vision is dead and the boys don't exist, which is what happened in the comics, although Vision came back as White Vision, but that's a little bit later. And the boys don't exist. They were always just a figment of her imagination. And Pietro's still really dead. You know, maybe she's going to get Doctor Strange or petition Doctor Strange to use deeper levels of magic to make it real, to either use his power or increase her power, or Doctor Strange might say, maybe we can open up a dimensional portal and maybe we can pull in another version of these people from another dimension, which really isn't fair to them, but that's another thing. And then they might try all that. The movie might be about them experimenting with all that, and we get all the different multiversal cameos. But if it doesn't work, then that might lead into House of M, where she goes, instead of no more mutants, she might create mutants. She might try to create these, the dead members of her family. She might try to constitute them herself with her increased power and knowledge that she got from Strange. And she might end up creating